The unspoken truth. For 5 years, Alex had lived in the kind of love he had always dreamed of. His marriage to Jenna felt perfect on the surface. They had met in college, both idealistic and full of plans for the future, and their bond grew stronger as they navigated life's challenges together. Alex loved the way Jenna laughed, how her eyes sparkled when she talked about her passions, and the way she seemed to balance him perfectly. She was his anchor in a world full of uncertainties. But recently, things had begun to shift. Alex couldn't pinpoint when exactly. Maybe it was the quiet dinners with barely any conversation, the long hours she'd spent on her phone, or the strange silences that filled the spaces between them. The intimacy they once shared seemed to vanish slowly, like sand slipping through his fingers. One Friday evening, after an exhausting week at work, Alex decided to surprise Jenna with a quiet night in. He picked up takeout from their favorite restaurant, something they had done countless times before. He was eager to reconnect, to bring back the feeling of closeness they once had. But when he opened the front door, there was a strange feeling in the air. The apartment felt off, too quiet. He walked to the living room, the smell of food still in the air. There was no sign of Jenna. Confused, he made his way toward their bedroom. The door was slightly ajar. When he pushed it open, he saw something that stopped his heart cold. Jenna was sitting on the bed, talking to someone on the phone. Her back was turned, but there was something in the way she held herself, something guarded, as if she was trying to keep a secret. "Jenna?" Alex's voice caught in his throat, trembling with confusion. She spun around, her face pale, her eyes wide, as though she had been caught in a moment she couldn't escape. "Oh, Alex, you're home early," she stammered, her hand still clutching the phone. The silence between them was heavy. Alex stared at her, feeling the weight of an unspoken truth pressing down on him. She quickly hung up the phone, but the damage had already been done. He could see it in her eyes. The guilt, the hesitation, the distance. I think we need to talk," Jenna said, her voice barely a whisper. She looked down at her hands, her fingers fidgeting nervously. Alex stood frozen, his mind racing. His heart pounded as if it was trying to escape his chest. He tried to find the right words, but they felt hollow. His trust in her, the foundation of their marriage, had just cracked in a single moment. "Who was that?" His voice was low, barely a question, but it carried the weight of 1,000 suspicions. Jenna hesitated. She opened her mouth to speak, but then closed it, as if weighing her options. Finally, she let out a long, shaky sigh. It's not what you think, Alex. I'm so sorry, but I've been seeing someone else." The words landed like a punch. Alex felt his stomach twist as though he had been physically struck. The man who had always been certain of their love, the man who had once believed that nothing could tear them apart, was now standing on the edge of something he couldn't understand. How long?" he managed to ask, his voice barely a whisper. "A few months," Jenna replied, her voice cracking. She looked at him, her eyes filled with sorrow, but Alex couldn't see her as the woman he once adored. He saw someone else, someone who had betrayed him. The room was silent for what felt like an eternity. Alex's thoughts were a blur. The life he had imagined with her, their plans, their shared dreams, none of it seemed real anymore. It was as if everything had been built on a lie. "Why?" he asked, his voice breaking. "Why did you do this? I trusted you." Jenna's face crumpled with pain. "I don't have an excuse, Alex. I wasn't feeling connected anymore, and I didn't know how to fix it. And then I met him, and it just happened. I never wanted to hurt you. I swear I never wanted to." Alex could feel the tears building behind his eyes, but he refused to let them fall. He had to hold on to something, anything. He had to stay strong, even if everything around him was collapsing. He turned away, walking toward the door, his mind swirling in a haze of anger, hurt, and disbelief. "I can't do this," he said softly, his voice steady despite the storm inside. "I need time, Jenna. I need space." Without waiting for a response, Alex walked out the door, the echo of his steps reverberating in the hollow emptiness of the apartment. For the next few weeks, Alex went through the motions of daily life. He stayed with his brother for a while, trying to make sense of everything. He didn't know what to do with the anger or the pain, so he buried it deep inside, afraid to face it head on. Jenna reached out, trying to apologize, trying to explain, but Alex couldn't bring himself to speak to her. He wasn't sure if he ever could again. It wasn't until months later, when the dust had settled a little, that Alex began to see things more clearly. He realized that the betrayal wasn't just a reflection of Jenna's actions. It was a reflection of his own inability to recognize the cracks in their marriage before they became too wide to ignore. He had loved her, yes, but somewhere along the way they had stopped talking, stopped listening, stopped caring about the small things that kept them connected. In the end, Alex chose to move on. He didn't know what the future would hold, but he knew he had to let go of the past to find peace. Jenna's betrayal would always be a part of his story, but it no longer defined him. He realized that healing wasn't about fixing the broken pieces of a relationship. It was about finding the strength to rebuild on his own, piece by piece. And one day, when he was ready, he would love again, this time with the wisdom of knowing that the only person who could truly heal his heart was himself. Follow for more.